I have done it. I uncovered the lore of the Groundskeeper in the new Outdoors update Indoors. Alright, so by now I'm sure all of you have played and maybe even beaten the new subfloor Indoors. However, throughout your playthrough you might have been wondering what the deal was with the most prominent entity, that being the Groundskeeper. This thing is nothing like any entity we've seen before, largely due to it being the first almost human character we've come across, and it possesses an intelligence far greater than a lot of the other entities. On top of that, we also meet their father in the subfloor, that being Grampy, and despite seeming just like an old man at first, they have the capability of creating an all-powerful flower that brings you back from the dead. What's going on here with this whole family? Well, I believe I figured it out. In this video, we'll be going over the entire story of the Groundskeeper Indoors, including the reveal that they are the true reason of the chaos going on in the subfloor. So, with all of that being said, let's begin. Alright, so what exactly is the Groundskeeper? They are a large, towering, almost undead humanoid that patrols various rooms in the subfloor, tending to the land by destroying weeds and killing any instances of the world lotus. Now, as a quick summary, the world lotus is a giant thorny lotus flower located at the end of the game. They are the mastermind of the whole chaos in the subfloor, as they're the brain of a giant network of thorny vines that spans all across the subfloor and even into the main floors. These vines have the capability of controlling any plant or living thing, turning anything it touches into a puppet of the world lotus's control. Many entities you face in the subfloor are puppets of the world lotus, such as eye stalk and mandrakes, and the Groundskeeper is particularly against the world lotus and its influence throughout the outdoors. Every single thing the Groundskeeper does is to keep the world lotus and its vines at bay. For example, the reason the Groundskeeper kills you if you walk on grass is because when you do walk on grass, the vines can actually sense that and attempt to control you. The Groundskeeper, not wanting to allow the world lotus vines to spread, would rather just kill you before you become a puppet, and by extension his problem. Additionally, the purple flowers you find all throughout the subfloor, officially titled bugleweeds, are actually planted by the Groundskeeper, and the reason for that is because they're poisonous to the world lotus vines. According to Grampy, just cutting the vines doesn't really work as they regrow, so they've resorted to just poisoning them. The guillotines used to cut the world lotus itself at the end of the game were also made by the Groundskeeper, as proven by Curious Light in one of their dialogue lines. This dude is taking every single precaution, even the extremely violent and dangerous ones, to make sure the world lotus and its thorny vines are gone for good, even risking his very own life to fight Bramble, who is the main host or body of the world lotus, as Curious Light mentioned when you die to them. Now, this is all information that's fairly common knowledge, but what's more confusing is the Groundskeeper's connection to his father. Grampy is a rather strange character, as despite seemingly being biologically related to the Groundskeeper, the two look nothing alike. The Groundskeeper is caked in dirt and grime, which could be explained by how they're always tending to the land, whereas Grampy is completely black in color, and that's not even mentioning how the Groundskeeper is a literal skeleton. I didn't even believe at first these two are related, but apparently they are. So how is that even possible? Well, I think it has to do with Grampy's unique skill. You see, a little known fact is when you give Grampy 8 lotus petals, he crafts them into a lotus flower and gives it to you. This lotus flower isn't as big or as strong as the world lotus itself, not by any means, but its ability grants players who have received it from Grampy the ability to revive from the dead, making it function almost like a revive. Lotus flowers, in simple terms, are Curious Light's revives. As you may know, normal revives are controlled solely by guiding light, evident by how when you use a revive, the entire animation is covered in guiding light sparkles. But lotus flowers are probably controlled by Curious Light. Now, although you can't really see Curious Light sparkles around any lotus flowers, there are actually a bunch of context clues that point to that conclusion. For one, the lotus petal items have the same particles surrounding them as the starlight bottle items, and these are the only two items in the game that share those particles. Additionally, triangle particles can be seen orbiting the world lotus itself as well as those pink petal items, and these special types of particles only appear in areas heavily related to the light characters, such as near rifts. Given how Curious Light is the only light character present in the subfloor, as well as how the particles themselves are yellow and pink, with them both being colors colors that Curious Light tends to exhibit, it's pretty safe to say they are responsible for the lotuses in the subfloor, meaning the lotus item Grampy makes you is controlled by Curious Light. Now, the way a lotus flower works is that when you place it on the ground, you create a checkpoint. Then, when you die, you can respawn where you placed the lotus. Like I said, it's a Curious Light revival. The thing is though, although when you place a lotus down it's very small, when it revives you it grows exponentially in size. When you use a lotus, you'll respawn in a giant lotus flower. And you know what else is a giant lotus flower? The world lotus. The world lotus is a lot larger than the fully grown lotus flowers that Grampy makes, and given how its influence is so expansive, it likely has been present for a long time. Now, given how Grampy immediately knows how to craft a lotus flower when you give him 8 lotus petals, and how he implies he has created them in the past prior to meeting you, it's implied Grampy has made these lotus flowers before. And given how they grow very large when somebody is revived inside of one, I believe it's very, very, very possible the world lotus itself could be a lotus Grampy made to revive someone. But who would he have revived? The answer lies in his son. The Groundskeeper, as I've said, is undead. Their arms have no flesh or skin, they are just bones. The Groundskeeper is a dead man risen from the grave, and given how they are Grampy's son, it's likely he cares for them very much. So here's what I think happened. Through some unknown event, Grampy's son, the Groundskeeper, died. I still don't know how he died, he just died through some means. Anyways, in an attempt to revive his child, Grampy created a lotus flower. The lotus worked at reviving his son. Kind of, he's still undead-ish, giving life to the Groundskeeper we meet in the outdoors. But the lotus used to revive the Groundskeeper grew, and it kept growing and growing until it eventually became the world lotus and started spreading its influence, controlling any living thing it comes across with its thorny vines. The very thing that saved the Groundskeeper is now trying to destroy everything he holds dear, and that's why he is trying to stop its spread all throughout the subfloor. It's almost like a betrayal. Now, that's normally where I would have ended this video, with the reveal that the Groundskeeper is fighting the very thing that saved his life. However, as I was recording, we got another insane lore drop. Apparently, Grampy has a daughter or granddaughter, according to the description of a new UGC item, and the only character that fits for that character is Sally. Think about it. Grampy and Sally look very similar to each other, and given how she's one of the only female characters in the game, it's very likely they're related. This also means that Grampy, Sally, and the Groundskeeper are one big happy family. This is something I had always had in the back of my mind, but this straight up confirms it. I'd also like to mention that Grampy's daughter or granddaughter is set to run away, and that he can't find her, which would make sense since Sally's at the hotel and he's in the outdoors. Anyways, that was basically the entire lore of the Groundskeeper indoors. Who knew this one family had such a deep story? Not only is his death and Grampy's attempt to revive him likely the reason the World Lotus and its chaos it brings on exists, but also Sally is likely related to them. This update is truly for us theorists. Anyways, with all of that being said, let me know in the comments what you think of all this new lore. And thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.